Would not be surprised if the National Weather Service does issue tornado warnings, which do include Chatham as the storm makes its way deeper into Pittsylvania County. So, Will, what are you seeing from your observations?
No new storm reports, so that is good. Anytime we can get no news is good news. And guys, we'll go back over to Max 1 just so we could show you what George is talking about. A lot of, as we look further up the line out towards Westlake Corner, Smith Mountain Lake, there's definitely at the very minimum some very strong wind with these storms as they push on through. So even though I believe you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, let me just make sure. Yeah. So Westlake Corner, Smith Mountain Lake under a severe thunderstorm warning, but that is a lot of wind coming in your direction. So at the very least, I would get ready for some very gusty winds. And as George was mentioning, I think they may have issued another tornado warning. Yes, they did. George called it right there up and around Chatham. So this is a continuation now and a new issuance of an additional tornado warning. This one does include Chatham. This includes places like Pinhook, and it includes places like Gretna. This tornado warning goes until 9:45, and again, it's because of this roundup part of the storm right in through here, almost where you see that arrow pointing down at. Again, if you notice, the polygon is red. That means it is a radar-indicated tornado. We have not had any reports or any confirmation anything is actually on the ground. However, these storms do have a history of producing some damage in North Carolina, and they are still showing some rather mean signatures as they continue to push on up towards the north and towards the east. So basically, if you're just west or just east of Martinsville, between Martinsville and Danville on 58, now including up 29 from Chatham over to Gretna, tornado warning continues until 9:30 or 9:45, depending on exactly where you are in that tornado warning. Places impacted, Axton, Aiken Summit, Sandy River, Swansonville, Mountain Valley, and Chatmoss. I'll go ahead and draw a track on that for the new warning that has just been issued. We'll push this to the north at around 45, so that would put it in Callens at around 9:26, Wheel, excuse me, by around 9:34, Chatham at 9:38, Gretna at 9:47, and Motley, which is just north of Gretna, right about the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Motley technically not included in the warning, but you're close enough to where I go ahead and get in my tornado safe place right now. This is a pretty nasty looking storm on both reflectivity and velocity, the two modes that we use. So it would not be the worst idea in the world. In fact, highly recommended you get to your tornado safety area right now.
Well, what I want to do, we want to switch the radar modes, and I want to put it on the wind mode because this is where we can better identify the tornado. And this is a very strong signature. When I look at this, I'm seeing a storm that is very capable of producing a tornado as it moves into Pittsylvania County. If you live in Tunstall, it is tornado safety time for you. You absolutely need to be in your place of tornado shelter if you are in Tunstall. In Chatham, get away from your windows, lowest floor. The idea is that you want to have as many walls between you and the wind as possible. Even if you don't get a tornado, it is going to have some very strong wind. So Callens, Route 41, Route 57, and Chatham, the storm is heading your direction right through here. Callens is here. The tornadic part of the storm is this area where the red is meeting the green. When you see this on a radar, this means that you have circulation wind in this direction. And on the back side, wind is coming back, and that means that obviously up at cloud level, we have a strong area of rotation, and so that's why the National Weather Service has issued the tornado warning for this storm. This storm has already likely produced a tornado in North Carolina. So what we're doing for you in Pittsylvania County, we're going to stay on as long as we have this threat of the tornado as it makes its way toward Chatham. So Chatham is here, right through here. We're going to see this moving through Chatham in the next 15 minutes. If you're in Gretna and you're watching us right now, I would go ahead and start getting ready to get to your place of tornado shelter in case a storm is issued. If you lose your power, you can follow us on WSET.com. You can get on your phone and you can listen to our live broadcast there. In fact, in Chatham and also in the Callens area, what I recommend is your television set, go ahead and turn the volume up so that you can hear us, and we'll try to be as descriptive as we can on where this possible tornado is located, and take your phone with you. You can also listen to us there on WSET.com. So we're giving you multiple ways that you can follow this tornado as we are tracking this storm. Again, this is the storm track. Will Stafford pulled this storm. Right now at 9:26, you can see the storm is going to lift to the northeast. There's a small community here, Hollywood. Then it's crossing 29. This line, this is 29 between Gretna and Chatham, and that is eventually also going to be crossing Route 40. Will, let's recenter this view, and let's put Lynchburg in the middle so that our viewers in the Lynchburg area know what we're tracking.
George, also we got a report in from the 911 center. Some wind damage around Fieldale in Henry County.
Okay.
2 trees and power lines down the 200 block of Dillon's Fork Road. That is in Fieldale. Tree down Philpott Drive in Bassett. So now we are starting to get those damage reports in from when the storm was in Henry County, and that same storm now in Pennsylvania County moving towards Chatham and Gretna.
And those storm reports that we're getting from Will, at this point, we don't know if that was from a tornado or it was straight line wind. But as Will mentioned earlier, regardless, it's storm damage. Wind is wind, whether it is coming in one direction, like straight line wind, or if it is indeed from a tornado. As far as Lynchburg, rain is increasing, as you can see, but the tornadic threat is staying to the south. We're not going to completely discount Lynchburg because we have to watch this part of the storms right through here. But the strongest storms we have right now, those are moving into Pennsylvania County and Callens. Get into your place of tornado shelter. Will, let's go back down to Pennsylvania County and let's take this down to the street level where you start getting into a lot of these county roads. Okay, we have a lot on the screen right now.
I tell you what, I really don't like that little notch right there. Right there, right, Callens.
If you're in Callens, you absolutely need to be in your tornado shelter right now. This is strong wind or a tornado, which is pushing out from this. When we are looking at strong wind that looks like this on a radar, it's a big deal. So please get in your place of tornado shelter. The storm has already produced wind damage in Henry County. We had tornado-like damage reported in North Carolina when that storm was blowing through. So in Callens, it is tornado safety time for you if you're not there already, and also in Chatham and Dry Fork. Be in your place of tornado shelter. Technically, Dry Fork is just out of the tornado warning, but you're going to be very, very close to it as this lifts to the north and east. Just getting reports of another radar scan has just come in, and there is the possible tornado in the Callens area. This is west of Chatham along 41. So Callens to Tunstall, tornado safety time for you. We're going to stay on as long as we have this severe weather and this tornado threat. Officially, the warning is in effect until 9:45. Tornado warning remains in effect. Will, are you getting anything more on the storm reports?
Nothing on the storm reports right now other than the ones that I read off there for Bassett. They did drop the first tornado warning. That's not surprising because it's moved out of that polygon, and they've actually trimmed it back now. They did not extend it further. But again, Chatham, Gretna, places like Callens. Let me go ahead and look one more time at the velocity. Let me take that off.
Oh, that looks, Will, this looks...
That looks even worse.
This looks really, really strong on the radar. Gosh, that really does look like a possible tornado right through here. So up at cloud level, the winds are spinning. Here, this would be wind coming in from the east and then being pulled into this storm. On the back side of the storm, meteorologically, we call it the rear flank downdraft. For you, that means strong wind. would be then pushing this direction. This causes this area of red to stick out, to bow out, and that is going to be some very strong wind at a minimum. That is right now near Highway 41, so we are near Tunstall, rocking and rolling with a strong wind. Callens, tornado warning remains in effect, and this is heading toward Gretna and Chatham. Will, let's go down to Danville. For our viewers watching in Danville and into Blair's, we could just simply zoom the radar down. You are getting a strong storm in Danville, but the part of the storm which has the tornado warning on it is staying to your north. We do, however, need to watch, as we can sometimes have other areas spin up. This is toward the Westover part of town. That's where this area of red is. That is strong wind toward the Westover area, also toward the Danville Mall, Blair's, and this is going to be crossing Route 29. So no tornado for Danville, but strong wind moving your way. Will? What are you seeing from I'm coming over here into the Weather Center?
Nothing except that, as you've been mentioning, that just looks like a very, very mean signature just outside of Chatham. So we're talking about places like the Bannister community on Strawberry Road, the Rondo community, 57, that popular cut across between Chatham and Martinsville, needs you in your tornado safety place. Fortunately, there's not a lot of roads in this area, but places like Sago Road over in Callens, near the Mount Zion Church there on 57, the Galilee Church, coming up on Climax Road in that general vicinity as well. All of these are places that really need to be in their safety place right now.
So Mark Spain is also checking in. He is coming to us, and we're updating the news department. Mark, we've had reports of wind damage in Henry County on the south and east side of Martinsville. At this point, we don't know if that was a tornado or if it was straight line wind. It was in the area of tornado warning. Regardless, it's wind damage, but we don't know if it was a tornado or not at this point. So, and we're going to be staying on live here probably until at least 10 o'clock, maybe longer, because Chatham and Gretna are next in the tornado warning. So our news team is also following this, and they are also checking for some of the storm reports. So, goodness, thank you all for staying here with us. We are going to be on as long as needed until we all get through this together, because this is a significant storm. Even if this is not actually producing a tornado, it is a very strong storm with very strong wind. As long as we have this tornado warning, this means that we have the threat of storm damage. We are going to be staying on for the duration of this storm. If there's a tornado, and this second, and this can change every couple of minutes, but this second, this area of rotation doesn't look quite as well organized as it did earlier, but still very strong wind. And you still need to be in your place of tornado shelter. In Callens, Chatham, I do recommend being in your tornado safety spot in case there is a tornado. The Whittles community, and then you're working your way up toward 29 into Gretna. In Gretna, be prepared to be in your tornado safe spot. Will, I'm going to come over into the Weather Center. Did you have some new information? I saw you were...
No, I was actually calling some of my family and telling them that they probably should get in their safe place. We do have a new warning, by the way. This is a big one. This does include now a severe thunderstorm warning for Danville, the city of Lynchburg, Bedford County, Campbell County, Halifax, and Pennsylvania County. Basically, for that larger line of showers and storms that you're seeing kind of track on up towards the north, these are not necessarily tornadic. That's not for the tornadic part of the storm. What the Weather Service is probably going to do from here on out is just broad brush these severe thunderstorms, because anywhere on this little line, and I'm going to stop the animation, and anywhere along this line, right through here from pretty much Bedford all the way down to Danville, has at least the potential of putting down some very gusty winds with this. I'm going to keep this track going at around the same speed that we've had, which is roughly about 45, 50 miles an hour. And I'm going to pull that track like that. I'm going to push it up towards the north and to the east. So this will be in Bedford pretty much within the next 5 minutes, if not less than that. Again, not a tornado-warned cell for Bedford, but probably some very gusty winds, probably enough to knock down some trees and power lines. Alta Vista at around 9:47. Here in the city, that's downtown Lynchburg. It'll be around, CVCC, Liberty, Wardrobe before that, but right around the top of the hour at 10. Amherst at around 10:21, and Appomattox by around 10:28. Not necessarily tornado warned, but severe thunderstorm warned. Still has some gusty winds. And honestly, with a line of storms like that has that very nasty signature in Pittsylvania County, go ahead and treat these as if they were tornado warnings, because we can see a spin up just like that, as we've already seen a couple times today.
That's a good point to mention that, because this is a line of thunderstorms, and typically when you have a line, you have a lot of reports of straight line wind. But within the line, you can have very small spin-up tornadoes, which may not be detected by the radar very well, and sometimes, unfortunately, those don't end up with tornado warnings. So you want to treat this like a tornado warning, say from Alta Vista toward Gretna and Chatham, as that is the strongest part of the line. The city of Lynchburg, we are under severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, and Lynchburg is right here. We will monitor these storms. If we see any rotation, we're going to let you know, obviously. So let's go back to the wind. We're going to look at the velocity patterns on the radar. And I want to also zoom back down toward Pittsylvania County. So when you see these maps that have the red and green, this is specifically looking at raindrops and the direction they're going. All of this red means the raindrops are blowing in the same direction. It's super cool that a radar can detect that, and it can. So this would be rain blowing away from the radar site. This is wind blowing in toward it, this gray to green. If we were seeing a deep green, say getting into these shades, that would be of a huge concern. At least we're not seeing that, but it is obvious that we do have at least a broad area of rotation in this storm, and a tornado is possible. In Chatham, you do want to be in your place of tornado shelter. Officially, you are under a tornado warning for 7 more minutes. The National Weather Service will decide if another warning is warranted. If you're in Gretna, I would go ahead and get into your tornado safe spot, away from windows, lowest floor, and trying to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You might also, when you think about tornado safety rules, some of the things, and I always heard this growing up, one of the things I always heard was to get into a bathroom and pull a mattress on top of you. I don't know about y'all, but I don't know how many of us are strong enough to pull a king-size mattress into a bathtub and to actually do that. It is more easy for you to grab like a helmet, like if your children are watching, say your son plays football, they could put on their football helmet. Maybe your daughter rides a bicycle and there's a bicycle helmet. You could put that on your head. And also, if you don't have any of those, I'm going to guess that in your house, you probably have some pots and pans in your kitchen. You could put like a giant soup pot over your head and protect your noggin. That would be one of the best places that you can be. This graphic that we've pulled up as far as tornado safety spots, we've highlighted this area of green, in that this is the smallest room within the house, with the idea that having as many walls between you and the outside as possible, those are extra barriers. You're obviously wanting to get away from the glass for obvious reasons, so a central bathroom which does not have windows, and if your house has bathrooms that have a lot of windows, as a lot of our homes around here do, get into a closet, because I'm going to guess there is a closet in your house that does not have windows in it, a smaller room. That would be the best place that you can be. And keep in mind that this is in the basement, not on some of the upper floors. So basement, #1 best place you can be. I also recommend turning up your TV volume If you are seeking shelter, we'll be as descriptive as possible on these storms, and also on your phone or your iPad, you can follow our coverage. As of right now, we have one tornado warning, which is in effect, and I'm going to ask Will Stafford for more info. What do you have, sir?
Well, just to kind of touch on your point that if you do lose power, we are streaming on all of the streaming platforms as well. However, do note that if you are streaming, sometimes those streaming services are a little bit delayed. So it's also important that you keep in mind that timestamp up there at the top of the screen, and also keep an eye on the time on your watch or on your phone or something like that, because sometimes these streams can be delayed by a minute or 2 minutes or so. So just keep that in mind if you do have to resort to the streaming services to get these warnings.
Will, let's go down to the city of Lynchburg, because we're going to be staying on as these storms make their way through Lynchburg. Normally, we would not be on for an extended time just for a severe thunderstorm warning for Lynchburg, but we're staying on because we have that tornado warning. But right through here, we will have some strong wind potential within the city, but the tornado warning potential is staying to the south of Lynchburg at this point. We'll watch for other rotating areas, but we do not have the threat of a tornado right now in Lynchburg. Now let's go back down to Pittsylvania County and that storm with the tornado warning.
This is coming up very quickly on Gretna. Looks like it is just past Chatham by the west. But right there in Gretna, I'll go ahead and draw a track on that, George.
Thank you, sir.
And let me get down pretty close, because now we are starting to get to a more populated part of Pennsylvania County as it approaches the town of Gretna.
If you're in the town of Dry Fork, it is safe for you to come out of your place of tornado shelter. You still have a big storm, but the tornadic part of the storm is passing to your north. If you're in Chatham, right here, go ahead and remain in your tornado safety spot. Stay in your safe hidey hole in case a tornado does develop. And then right through here along Route 57, so this is west of town, and also along Climax Road through here toward Gretna, that is the part of the storm that has this possible tornado. On the storm track, you can see this is going to be near Gretna at 9:49. We are almost at 9:49. So tornado shelter safety time for you, away from glass, away from windows, get into the lowest floor. Will, did the tornado warning just go away? I just saw.
No, I just took it off temporarily. No, it's still there. It goes until 9:45. However, as you mentioned, they are going to have to make a decision here pretty quickly about what they want to do with that warning. While we have about 2 minutes before they make a decision, I will say the worst place, or I'd say the heaviest hit place with whatever is down there is probably going to be on the west side of Gretna. There's a nursing home over there. There's a Hampton Inn over there on the west side of Gretna. There's a Dairy Queen over there on the west side of Gretna. There's a couple gas stations over there. And I believe the Gretna Medical Center is over on the west side of Gretna. It's right there by the Hampton Inn. So if you are in Gretna, anywhere in Gretna, you really need to be in your safe place. But especially if you were on the west side of Gretna, in those locations that I just said, those are definitely the places that you need to be in your safe place. Just got an update, and it looks like right there by Red Eye, by the Green Bay Church, just off of Climax Road. If there was anything there, if there was a tornado on the ground, that's where it would be. No confirmation anything is, but if there was, that's where it would be.
And Will, as I'm looking, and we're looking at this storm, the tornadic part of the storm doesn't look as impressive as it did earlier. And what we mean by this is that this area of rotation does look a little bit smaller. However, it's still rotating, so we still have the tornado warning potential. Yes, Mr. Stafford.
They are going to let the warning expire at 9:45. They're going to keep the severe thunderstorm warning, but they're going to drop the tornado warning, and they're going to be carefully watching for any upticks. A lot of times, and I know we say this often, a lot of times these storms will kind of cycle back through. They'll put something down, they get really, really wrapped up, and they'll lift, and they'll get really, really wrapped up again. So they're going to let the warning expire, but they're going to be watching for cycling. And there it is. You just saw the tornado warning go away. They're going to keep with the severe thunderstorm warning, and they're going to watch for any additional cycling. So I believe at this point, we do not have any active tornado warning on the ground, but we definitely have some storms. Look at all that wind there, George, in Bedford and right there in Alta Vista. At the very least, some very, very heavy wind And I'm not going to lie,
And that's really going to reduce if anybody is out in Bedford County driving, that is miserable driving weather. As you can see, some of these brighter colors. So this is wind being pushed out of this storm. A large area of strong wind. If you're watching this from Smith Mountain Lake, you're not getting a tornado. It's not going to be a twister, but you do have strong wind occurring from these storms. We are going to stay on here. I know it's 9:45 and that tornado warning is just expired, but I do want to stay on here for a few more minutes so that we can make sure that another tornado warning doesn't get issued, because you hate to go off the air and then suddenly the National Weather Service does issue a tornado warning. Yes, sir, Mr. Stafford.
Also, let me just say this too, since we don't have an active tornado warning, let me clean up some of the map here. So they have dropped the tornado watch for Roanoke County, Franklin County, Martinsville, and Henry County. They are keeping the tornado watch up for the Lynchburg, Campbell, and Halifax. They have now extended the watch until 11 o'clock for now Buckingham County, Appomattox County, and Charlotte County. Those are new additions to the watch. So they added 3 counties to the watch, took 3 counties off, added 3 more, still going until 11 o'clock.
Well, that was something we mentioned earlier, is that the National Weather Service, the local office, could be tacking on a few more counties to that tornado watch. And yes, sir, that is exactly what has happened. So Appomattox, Buckingham, and Charlotte, you're now under that tornado watch. So this line here, this is the show. This is the main event. Once this blows through, the risk of severe weather abruptly ends. So I know in Franklin County, Rocky Mount, and even in Smith Mountain Lake, I know you're hearing thunder right now, but the tornadic threat has ended. The future, if we do have any more tornado warnings, they're going to be along and just east of this line. So we're watching this for you in far eastern Pittsylvania County, Halifax County, and also in Campbell County. We're watching this as well. Will Stafford.
A couple more storm reports. Got some wind damage reports over in Bedford, right around Manita. Just a tree down, and also some wind damage reports in Roanoke City, power lines down at a few intersections there in Roanoke. Just go show you, these locations were not under a tornado warning. They were just under a severe thunderstorm warning. But as we say all the time and time again, wind is wind. It can do damage. Treat these storms seriously, despite the fact that you may not be under a tornado watch. There's just so much wind energy in the atmosphere right now.
Most of the storm damage and to further Mr. Stafford's point, most of the wind damage reports that we do get within a year are from straight line wind. We actually did not have a single tornado reported in the ABC 13 viewing area last year, believe it or not, but straight line wind, and we'll be watching to see if some of this storm damage, particularly toward Henry County and Callens, if some of this storm damage is going to be related to a tornado, because we've at least seen strong rotation up at cloud level. If you're just joining us, I'm George Flickinger here along with meteorologist Will Stafford. It is 9:48 on your Thursday evening. We have been on for quite some time with live severe weather coverage because multiple tornado warnings have been issued in the ABC 13 viewing area for locations south of Lynchburg. As of now, we have severe thunderstorm warnings from Danville, Halifax County, Campbell County, Bedford, and into Lynchburg. Even though Lynchburg is under a severe thunderstorm warning, I'm not seeing a tornadic threat at this point, which is good news. We're going to watch this very closely, of course, but this looks to be some strong straight line wind and rain. And if you know anybody that is going to be driving in the Lynchburg area, say in the next hour, it's going to take about an hour for this storm to blow through, meaning that when we are starting our 11 o'clock newscast, we will still be having some rain in the Lynchburg area. But the severe weather threat ends abruptly behind this line right through here. I know you're also hearing thunder out of this, parts of Bedford County, Campbell County, you're likely hearing thunder, and also into Pittsylvania County. Will, let's stop the radar loop and let's go down into Danville. I know we have the Danville Skycam, and I'm curious to see what that looks like right now, because that is just some very heavy rain and wind pushing its way into Danville, as you can see.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I was actually checking that earlier. I don't know why these sky cameras are not loading into the computer. I don't think we're going to be able to take the sky camera because I don't think they're loading in properly.
And now as we say that, they're on the screen. So whatever you did, Mr. Stafford.
No, I think that was our production crew up there in the booth.
Well, I'm actually giving you full credit for this, but thank you, production.
I will pass the credit along
for pulling this up. So right now, this is a live look in Danville, and obviously it's raining on the camera, so that's why it is blurry, and it's kind of hard to make out the wind. But you do remain under a severe thunderstorm warning in the city of Danville. You remain under the severe thunderstorm warning. Mark Spain, our anchor Mark Spain from the news department, he's also been getting information, and so I'm going to ask Mark. He's off camera right now. Mark, any reports that y'all are working on right now?
Nothing more than what you've already been reporting on.
Okay, all right. So, Mark, I would take that as good news that you're not getting any reports. I would check in Pittsylvania County, the Callens area, west of 29. I don't know if there's a tornado at this point, but up at cloud level, it had a significant circulation. There was a lot of wind being pushed out. So in Callens and also near Tunstall High School, those are some areas to check for severe weather damage. All right, thank you. So thank you for that, Mark. So what we are going to do with our coverage, what we're going to do, we want to show the entire viewing area, and then if we're not seeing any rotating areas, we will take you back to regular programming. So here we are at 9:52 on your Thursday evening. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect Lynchburg, Bedford, Campbell, and into Pittsylvania County. We've had numerous tornado warnings, but at this point, we do not have a tornado warning which has been issued. Mr. Stafford has more info in the Weather Center. Yes, sir.
So the Weather Service is watching, and I think we kind of noticed this as well. We are starting to see this area tighten back up again. This is now on the east side of Gretna now. This is near chalk level. It's still weak, but if it continues to strengthen, they're probably going to warn on that again. They're not warning on it right now. They're going to keep an eye on it. Again, watching for that cycling. But the way things have been going tonight, it would not shock me at all if we had another warning this time for the eastern side of Pittsylvania County and maybe northeastern Halifax County too. But no warning right now, but it's this area right in here that we're watching.
You can see that. So production and also other folks who are behind the scenes here, what we're going to do, it's 9:53, we're going to stay on live until 10 o'clock. So at 10 o'clock, if we're not seeing any tornado warnings, at that time, we'll go back to regular programming. But for the next 7 minutes or so, we are going to stay on live because this is something that we definitely need to watch. If you're in Chatham and Callens, it is safe for you to come out of your tornado safety spot. I know that you are hearing thunder, but it is safe for you to emerge from wherever you are seeking shelter. In Gretna, no tornado is being detected right now. That is very heavy rain and wind. These bolts you see on the screen, those are some of the lightning strikes, and that is just south of 40, State Highway 40 near chalk level in Pittsylvania County, getting a little bit closer toward Halifax County. So no tornado warnings at this point. Will, let's go into Lynchburg for our viewers who are watching in Lynchburg. Okay, so at a glance, I am interpreting this as good news. Gosh, we have a lot on the screen right now. But here is the city of Lynchburg.
You're gonna try and clean that up.
Yeah, let's clean this up a little bit.
I'm gonna take the watches and warnings off. That's about as clean as I can get.
That helps a little bit because when you zoom in on the maps, of course, you start getting more detail. But Lynchburg, CVCC, Liberty, Lynchburg Airport.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
Actually, that's going to work. And into Bedford, JF High School is going to be in here. The part of the storm that has the strongest wind is right in here. We don't see a tornado out of this, but we do have some strong wind. This is in Bedford County toward Good, the Lowry community, 221 west of JF High School. This is also going to be toward the Norwood community, the Norwood Church, right along 221. That is some strong wind that is blowing out of those storms, and those are eventually going to be crossing 501 near Of course, Big Island has the heavy rain. Coleman Falls, you'll be getting into this as well. And the Claremont community, which is right through here, very heavy rain, but it does look like that you're missing out on the worst of the storms. Mr. Stafford, for our viewers in Campbell County, let's center up this map. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect. Rustburg, Gladys, William Turner, the Naruna area, and Brookneal, as you can see. Alta Vista, the Lynch Station community, kind of on the west side of Alta Vista, strong wind is blowing out of this right through here. And that's why the National Weather Service has issued that warning. Now let's go down to Danville. So Pittsylvania County and Danville. Stafford is controlling the radar right now. So severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for Gretna. If there's a tornado, and we're not seeing one right now, but this would be the part of the storm. That's the part of the storm which generated the tornado warning earlier for Callens. This is going to be crossing the Stanton/Roanoke River as it moves to the north and east. If you're in Brookneal, there's also the community of Long Island, which is right along the Stanton River, right there in Campbell County. This is moving your direction, and I would be prepared for some strong wind. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect, and a severe thunderstorm warning means wind of 55 miles an hour plus, and that is strong enough to where, unfortunately, you could lose some power. Some trees or even some power lines can be blown down. Will, let's recenter the map, and how are we doing on storm reports? What are some of the new info that you have regarding the storm report situation?
Okay. Also, while I read those off, if you see anything that you think we should know about, send it to us on Chime In, but only do so if you can do so safely. Don't go out in these storms while they're occurring, but if you've got any damage that has happened after the fact, send them on in via Chime In. There's a link to that on our ABC 13 app and also on WSET.com. In terms of warnings that were storm reports that we've had some wind damage north of Keeling in Pennsylvania County. Power poles broken.
Also, Will, as you're getting the storm reports, let's go back to the radar so that we can update our viewers with where the storms are while you're rattling off some of those storm reports.
All right. So we had some power poles down north of Keeling. We had some wind damage near Sontag in Franklin County. We had some wind damage near Rocky Mount in Franklin County. And then I think we're back up to where, let me just make sure I didn't miss one. And no, that is it. So we haven't really seen a lot of wind damage, which is good news. We're not complaining in that aspect at all, especially with how mean some of these signatures have looked tonight.
Some of these storms have been really, really wound up, particularly the one which moved into Pennsylvania County from Henry County near Callens up at cloud level. Significant circulation. That one very easily warranted the tornado warning. And also, just being Captain Obvious here, it's dark outside. It's raining. It's storming. A lot of people are simply not going out. So what there are of the damage reports will be coming in tomorrow morning. Will be much more numerous once sunlight comes after sunrise. Severe thunderstorm warnings remain in effect. Lynchburg, Bedford. If you're in Lynchburg, the strongest part of the storm is just about to make its way into the city. Time is now 9:59, so we are going to wrap up our severe weather coverage here. We will, however, come back if a tornado warning is issued. So right now, severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for Lynchburg. Strong straight line wind. There could be some wind gust over 50 miles an hour from the west and southwest. Strong thunderstorms moving across Campbell County. Brookneal, get ready. Straight line wind for you. Halifax County, then eventually Charlotte County is going to be next. I'm George Flickinger, along with meteorologist Will Stafford and Mark Spain. We will continue to keep you informed.